Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right. What up, what up? Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Today is Tuesday, January 12th. 12 days into the new year, 353 days left. We are live from downtown Burbank, California. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR and the Game Changer Network, KGRA and TalkNetwork.com. I'm your oh-so-humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Tonight we have a very special guest. Maureen St. Germain is here. Finally, we're going to be talking about the Akashic Records. Yes. Finally, you've been waiting for it. Tomorrow night, Vic Mignogna is going to be here of Star Trek Continues. That's right, Captain Kirk. Right here on Fade to Black. Can you believe it? Man, we had Jesus last night, Maureen tonight, and Captain Kirk tomorrow. Don't you just want to be me? And you are, because we're a family. All right. Call-in number tonight's 323-825-5045. Like always. You know, the conversation's going to be dynamic. It's going to be great. The studio is dark, and you're going to get smart. And I'll try to get to some phone calls. It is a caller-driven show. But sometimes that conversation's so good, I just cannot break it up. But tonight, and it's probably going to be all of that. I know that we're going to run out of time tonight. But I know you guys want to talk to Maureen. And so we'll see what we can do. Crazy show last night, huh? It was pretty good. Jesus Christ on the show. Tough booking. He's got a good agent. That was a good show last night. And we will be bringing him back so you guys can call in and ask questions. I think that's going to be great. All right. So there you go. Thank you for that. And it was a good show last night. I mean, I came away from that just... You know, I needed that show last night. Last night was personal. I needed it. And it was good. It was fun. It was great. All right. Let's go. Let's get this cracking. Let's get all of our normal stuff out of the way. And it is very important. This show is funded by our sponsors. That's right. National Tax Experts, Life Change Tea, Studio Dome, all of the conventions and conferences that we do, stuff like that. That's what pays for this show. Okay. And so please visit our sponsors. If you want to feel like me, and I know you do, you want to feel like me, go to Life Change Tea. It's right there. GetTheTea.com. Just drop my name. That's all you got to do. You have an inside, right? That's the thing. You know, you want to drop that name. Drop mine, Jimmy. Get free shipping. Stuff is absolutely amazing. And I'm going to tell you right now, on my nightstand, 3 bottles. In the studio, 3 bottles. In my kitchen over at home, 3 bottles. Constantly changing my life. Go do it. Everything that they have is good. Okay? GetTheTea.com. Studio Dome. And I got to tell you, last night, fired up the SBB sitting on my nightstand. My goodness. What a speaker. Just absolutely amazing. And you can get that, the SBB, and 2 surround sound speakers, all wireless, for $99 with a case. I mean, who doesn't want that? It's amazing. Go and do it. I can't wait to hang out with the Studio Dome guys here in a couple of weeks at the NAMM show. It's going to be great. Yeah, I'll be posting some pictures. Nothing like the NAMM show. Are you guys going to the NAMM show? A lot of musicians listen to this show. Are you going to the NAMM show? If you are, shoot me an email, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Let me know when and where you're going to be there. All right? Maybe we can hook up. All right? I'll be there all day on Saturday. And then, of course, Saturday night, I will be over at the Hilton Bar across the parking lot with everybody else. If you've been to NAMM, you know what I'm talking about. All right, Alien Snowfest is coming up. Now, this is what's nuts about the month of February for us here. The month of February is going to be fully jammed, no days off, because the first week of February, we have Fade to Black. We pack up, we head to Big Bear, Alien Snowfest, February 5th through the 7th. And then we get back into town, we do Fade to Black, and then Coast to Coast, no days off. And then Fade to Black. And then Conscious Life Expo, and we're going to broadcast live there. Conscious Life Expo is 19th through the 22nd. All of the links and banners are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Then we come back and do that. Finish there at the LAX Hilton. Come back, do Fade to Black, Coast to Coast, and then it's the end of the month. So there's going to be literally no days off for Fade to Black and the paranormal world for the month of February. It's going to be great. I cannot wait to get to March 1st where I can take a breath and take a breather. But February is going to be great. So go and get your tickets for everything now. And then, of course, a couple of months after that is Contact in the Desert. And for ufology, it's one of the biggest events of the entire year. Contact in the Desert, June 3rd through the 6th in Joshua Tree, California. Just go to contactinthedesert.com. With that, I'm ready. Let's get this show cracking. Today, Howard Stern is 62 years old. And you know what's funny? I want to light up Twitter right now. I'm going to light up Twitter. I probably did this a year ago and 2 years ago on Howard Stern's birthday. Where did he go? I know he's on Sirius, but he was such a big part of pop culture and society in the 90s, movies and books and radio, and he was everywhere. Now, is Howard Stern relevant anymore? Does anybody listen to him on Sirius? I know he's got that TV show, does he even still have that? I don't watch TV, so America's Got Talent or whatever that show was. I probably just got that wrong. So does he even still do that? I don't know. But Howard Stern, 62 years old, was such a big part of America and just, to me, did that Sirius, deal. And then just kind of disappeared, didn't he? Rob Zombie today is 51. Truly one of the great directors and musicians. Satellite Heaven, brother. That's what John Murray. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, does anybody to pervert land? Yeah, I mean, Hollow, was he ever relevant? I'm just saying, does anybody? Yeah, and I agree with everybody. But does anybody? Okay, right now in Twitter, did anybody listen to Howard Stern today on Sirius? I just want to know right now in Twitter. There are thousands and thousands of you right now hearing my voice. Did anybody today listen to Howard Stern? I'm just throwing it out there. Nothing negative. I just want to know. Today, Zach De La Roca of Rage Against the Machine, pockets full of shells, is 46 years old. All right. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Twitter is at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Hashtag F2BQ is where the questions go. Everything is Fade to Black, JChurch Radio. If you are over on the website right now, which you may be not. If you're on TalkNetwork.com right now, you can just go to my page right there. Everything is there. Follow, like, and subscribe. It's simple. You want to follow me on Twitter, just right there, and you're on Talk Network, just go to my page right there. Boom. Follow on Twitter. It's all there. You can do it. Come hang out. The show is real time. Okay? It's interactive. That's what we do here. You can email throughout the show, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Tonight we do have a very special guest. It is Maureen St. Germain. She will be here. We're going to discuss the Akashic Records. What are they? Where are they? How? What? When? It's one of the big questions out there. Every single day on this show, every single day, somebody in Twitter, with whatever the guest is, it doesn't matter. What about the Akashic Records? What about the Akashic Records? Can you please ask them about the Akashic Records? Okay, well, tonight, that's exactly what we are going to do. On this day in history, check this out. On this day in history, 1971, this is something that you may have forgotten about. And if you're not old enough to have been there, you probably have never heard about it. In 1971, the Harrisburg Six were charged with conspiracy. The Reverend Philip F. Berrigan, serving a 6-year prison term on charges of destroying draft records, and 5 others are indicted by a grand jury on charges of conspiring to kidnap Henry Kissinger and of plotting to blow up the heating tunnels of the federal buildings in Washington, D.C. That was crazy. Look it up, the Harrisburg Six. It really happened. Fate or fact? This is a good one, and I did this because of what I'm about to talk about. Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi minister of propaganda who targeted people with birth defects, was himself born with a deformed right leg. And that is a fate or fact. All right, now I've got something to say. Not only, speaking of Goebbels, not only the initial 4,000 print run of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf was pre-sold on the internet, but an additional 15,000 orders have been submitted. There have been requests for translations into Italian, French, and English, a demand from Turkey, China, and South Korea, and Poland. Are you angry yet? This 2-volume infamous rant was written by Hitler between 1924 and 1926 and is regarded as one of the Nazis' main propaganda tools. It has been reissued as a 2,000-page annotated version after its 70-year copyright expired, and it's going to cost you 59 euros. You angry yet? The original Mein Kampf was translated into 18 languages, and by the time the Second World War had ended, it had sold a staggering 12 million copies. The reissue is published by the Munich Institute for Contemporary History, Munich, Germany, which has added some 3,500 notes to the text and are supposed to, and I'm quoting here, unmask Hitler's false allegations, his whitewashing and outright lies, end quote. And they continued with, the book, not only as a historical source, it's a symbol, said Christian Hartman, co-editor of the edition. He went on to say, and we wanted to dismantle that symbol once and for all. Are you angrier yet? You should be. Because you don't dismantle something with publicity. You don't dismantle something with a reprinting. You don't dismantle something under the guise of unmasking the lies. You don't dismantle anything. You're bringing it forward. Where's the money going? 59 euros a copy? Do the math. 59 euros. Where are the profits going? They're saying there isn't any profits. We're doing this at cost. That's a bunch of BS. BS meter off of the charts. And this is the thing. No matter what they want to say, 3,500 notes, unmasking false allegations, outright lies, they can say whatever they want. Why would anyone care today about Mein Kampf? Why? I tried to read it. I tried to read it. Got a copy of it. Early 80s. Heard about it. Somebody gave me a copy of the book. And I tried to read it. And it was, well, quite frankly, unreadable. It was stupid. It was poorly written. It was written by a second grader. It just made no sense. Nothing was connected. It was stupid. And I thought I was going to see what the influence was and how it happened. That's what I thought. And I was scared. I almost didn't want to read it. And then I read it, I was like, this is dumb. It's dumb. Stupid. And I put it down and I never picked it up again. And I realized at that point that Mein Kampf was absolute garbage. It was nothing. It's not only poorly written, it was outdated ideas and basically worthless to both history and to academia. I didn't understand the significance of this supposed book. Honestly, it should just be forgotten because it's worthless. It's a meaningless thing. It's drivel, and would have been if not for the rekindling and the republishing of this book, it would have been forgotten. And honestly, I swear this is where I'm coming from. It's not even a book. It's a bunch of rubbish with a binding on it. So I guess by definition, it could be a book, but it's not. And that's it. That's it. I am so angry about this. Rita had said to me right before the show, we were talking and drinking some coffee. And she said, what if you're in Germany somewhere walking down the street and you walk past a bookstore and this is in the window and you have to look at this? It ain't right. That country was bombed to beyond recognition because of that book. And it's being published in Munich. Oh. You pissed off? You should be. It's an outrage. All right. Tonight, we have a very special guest, Maureen St. Germain. She's here. We're going to be discussing the Akashic Records, the who, what, when, where, why, what are they? And if you've never heard of the Akashic Records, tonight's the night that you're going to want to take some notes. You're going to want to listen. And then after the show tonight, go out and do your research. Check it out. It's going to be an amazing conversation. Let's get to some of the news that you know nothing about. Today, sell everything. Sell all you got. Sell it all. That was the advice from the Royal Bank of Scotland. They have warned now of a cataclysmic year. What is coming up in 2016? What is ahead for the markets? And it advised clients to head for the exit door. They advised them not to wait. Do not pass go. Do not do anything but sell everything that you got. Now, the Royal Bank of Scotland's Andrew Roberts said, and I'm quoting, sell everything except high-quality bonds. The bank's red flags for 2016 included falling oil, the volatility of China, shrinking world trade, rising debt, weak corporate loans, and the deflation of everything else has all been in the first week of trading. Morgan Stanley warned this week that oil could reach $20 a barrel soon. RBS, the Royal Bank of Scotland, says that if it falls below $30 a barrel, then $16 is on the immediate horizon. So what happened today? What happened today? Oil plummeted below $30 a barrel for the first time since December of 2003. The latest wave of selling leaves crude oil down 19% this year alone in 2016. We're barely a week in. It represents an incredible 72% plunge from crude oil's peak in June of 2014 at $108 a barrel. Royal Bank of Scotland. Now, I'm not a fear guy, but what are you doing saying that, right? You know me, flip it over 180 degrees. Maybe this is about to be the most incredible year ever as well. China's Wanda Group announced that on Tuesday it will buy, well, actually, let me back up here. Today, China's Wanda Group announced it will buy Hollywood film studio Legendary Entertainment. Now, what does this mean? Legendary is big here in Hollywood. The studio produced the Dark Knight Batman trilogy. They did Inception. They did Interstellar. And has grossed more than $12 billion worldwide at the box office. The chairman of Wanda, his name is Wang Zhanlin. Richest man in China. He's been actively trying to find a way to buy himself into the movie business. Yes, he's China's richest dude. He bought the U.S. satellite and cable TV channel AMC in 2012 and is developing an $8 billion studio complex in eastern China. This is the fourth largest Chinese acquisition of a U.S. business ever. The $3.5 billion deal comes after the WH Group's $7 billion purchase of pork packer Smithfield Foods in 2013. Next time you're at the market, you look down, you see Smithfield, you're putting your hand on that package, that's Chinese. Says Smithfield, it's Chinese. The Chinese Sovereign Wealth Fund's 2007 purchase of a 9.9% stake in Morgan Stanley for $5.6 billion. And Unisplender's $3.7 billion bid for a 15% stake of, are you sitting down? Western Digital. Yeah. Scary. I'm not a fear guy. I'm not. But there's something about it. As a matter of fact, it has nothing to do with fear. But it seems like we went through this once before, didn't we? You know, letting all of our manufacturing go to Japan, which we did. Do you know that right now in the United States of America, do you know today, you can check this out, right now in the United States, we don't make a television. Right now in the United States. When we were growing up, 50s, 60s, 70s, remember all those TVs? Remember them? They were all made here. Today, not one television. Not one. We can't let this kind of stuff go. And those profits, the $12 billion for Legendary, all of that doesn't go here anymore. It's a scary thought. That's what I'm saying. Man, let's keep our own, man. Let's keep our money here. Britain's Pompeii, that's right, has emerged in the UK county of Cambridgeshire as archaeologists unearth incredibly well-preserved Bronze Age dwellings abandoned in haste by their inhabitants. The excavation carried out at a quarry in Peterborough by Historic England and the University of Cambridge provides an extraordinary insight into the domestic life of 3,000 years ago. Dating to the end of the Bronze Age, 1200 to 800 BC, the settlement was home to several families who lived in a number of circular wooden houses built on stilts above a river. Fire destroyed the settlement, causing the houses to fall into the river where silt and clay preserved everything. Archaeologists found an extraordinary time capsule buried just over 6 feet below the ground surface, where the riverbed actually was at about 1,800 BC. It contained clothes, textiles, small cups, bowls, jars, things that were stuffed complete with meals still inside. Go to our Facebook page over at Jimmy Church Radio on Facebook. Check it out. The article is there in pictures. Also today, as we're winding this down, I posted a couple of things over on both pages, on my personal page, Jimmy Church, and over at Jimmy Church Radio. And one of them that you want to go and check out is the top 20 states with the highest number of UFO reports. It's a graphic. Go and check it out. It's pretty amazing. The top 20 states. Of course, number one is California with 11,896 sightings. But everybody's there. You got Massachusetts, New Jersey, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, Missouri, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, Colorado, Oregon, Washington. Yes. Go and check it out. All the numbers are there. It's a great graphic. But then right below that is a picture that NASA just released of Pluto. And I just want somebody to explain to me what the object is in this photograph. There is something on a road. I'm not making this up. Go look at the picture yourself. There's a road there. And there is something on this road. I don't know what it is. It looks like, I don't know. It looks like Mel Gibson and Mad Max. It could be anything, but it's strange that it's on the middle of this road. It looks like it's driving north, and there's a fork in the road, and it doesn't know if it's going to go right or left. Check it out. The picture was taken on December 24th, 2015. It's a high-res image of the center of Sputnik Planum, which was made by the New Horizons Long-Range Reconnaissance Imager, and it clearly shows something. There's nothing else in this picture. Well, there's an X, which is bizarre, too, as well. Go check it out. I want your comments. It's not quite viral yet, but there's something going on. I just want to know what that is in that picture. Go check it out. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, Maureen St. Germain, the Akashic Records. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Everybody stay right where you are. I'll be back right after this short break. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I gotta tell you, it was a relief. National tax experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. Doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, Give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
This is TalkNetwork.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Klutsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back to Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. The lotto right now is now $1.5 billion. Probably by tomorrow, 1.6, 1.7. And I know what everybody's thinking now. Hey, what, couldn't you just take, it's up that high, just go and buy every ticket. You would have a guaranteed payout. Check this out. By buying every combination, you would guarantee yourself of a victory for sure. But you have a 22% chance of buying the only winning ticket. That's right, of keeping it to yourself. You have a better chance, 33%, of sharing it with one person or two people at 25%. You have a 12% chance of sharing it with 3 and 6% chance of splitting your winnings with 4 others. Now, you have to buy a Powerball ticket in person. You would have to buy 292 million tickets in person. That's a lot of transactions. And even if you were able to buy one ticket every second, it would take you more than 9 years to buy every combination. That's why there is nobody out there throwing down 292 times 4. What is that? $484 million to get a guaranteed payout because you couldn't do it. I thought, maybe there's laws preventing this. No, you just wouldn't have the time to purchase 292 million quick picks with all different numbers. And even if you could employ an army of people out there to purchase all of your tickets for you, it'd still take you years. So, therefore, you got to go out and buy your single ticket. Your single number or your one number. Have you done it? We did last week, and I guess how can you not? How can you not buy at least one ticket? You don't want to say coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? Right. Maureen St. Germain, in her latest book, Be a Genie, she discusses and helps and assists people in meeting and surpassing their life dreams, their goals, by using the laws of quantum physics and sacred geometry. Using the principles and practices of the Genie system for the past 20 years, Maureen has created a life filled with love, success, and happiness. She has traveled the world, and she's taught workshops for almost 20 years. She's an author of the bestseller, Beyond the Flower of Life. Maureen has been teaching the Merkaba meditations and higher self-connection to audiences around the world since 1994. But in 2003, she was given direct access to a dimension that has been close to humanity for eons, the Akashic Records. Tonight, we will discuss the Akashic Records. What are they? Where are they? And how can they possibly be accessed? She has MaureenSt.Germain.com. She has AkashicRecordGuides.org, AkashicRecordsBlog.com. all of the websites. Links are right there at jimmychurchradio.com. And I would like to welcome to Fade to Black for the first time, Maureen St. Germain. Maureen, good evening.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's great to have. I know you're busy, and just let me say this: you've got a great agent.
Thank you. I think so too.
Never forget that. But you've been really busy. You've had a long day. Thank you for coming on the show tonight. As you know, this is a very important subject to me and my audience, and I am excited to finally have you here. But the good thing is, since you're a first timer on Fade to Black, you get the disclaimer. So I get to do the disclaimer, and the disclaimer is it's just you and I sitting in my living room having a conversation. We're going to start as friends. We're going to end as friends. Wherever it goes, it goes. Are you ready?
I think so.
How I want to start actually. I don't want to do the traditional softball. Where did you grow up? What was your family like, and so forth. But I do want to go back a little bit because you've been doing this for over 20 years. And your Akashic Records insight happened in 2003. We're in 2016. So we do have to actually go backwards in time a little bit. When did you first find that you had this kind of strange, I don't know if I want to call it a gift, but the ability to look around you, maybe manipulate and change things and look at people differently?
I think I had it from the time I was a little kid. And what happened in 2003 is I was given a direct message saying, you have been given this gift and now use it. I was sleeping in a car waiting for my host to go take care of something, and then we were going to go to dinner. And as I woke up, before she came back, I had a very clear message that this astrologer that I knew in that city had a message for me. So I called her house after dinner. She'd already gone to bed. Her husband said he'd relayed the message. And the next day I said to her, now, are you going to update my chart? What's the deal? And she said, Maureen, you have to understand, I don't do messages. And so when I checked in, I was not particularly pleased with the message that you got. And I asked my guides, what do I do about this? Should I update her chart? And the answer was no, we have a message for her.
And the message. I was going to say, you didn't have a clue at this point, did you?
No, I didn't have a clue that there was some new piece of opportunity that was being granted to me. And the message was that I was being given access to a dimension that had been closed to humanity for eons.
At that point, had you ever heard of the Akashic Records? Were you prepared for what this was about to be?
I can't say I was prepared in an emotional and spiritual sense, but I was not prepared in a 3D mental sense because I didn't even know at the time they were referring to the Akashic Records.
Right.
I just thought, wow, I get to know stuff,
Right. And what is it about, before we jump into what the Akashic Records are, what is it about the Akashic Records that just freaks everybody out like a magnet? And once they start reading and finding out, it's a rabbit hole. You can't get back out of it. What is the appeal of the Akashic Records?
Well, it turns out that the Akashic Records were built at some point after creation began, and it was felt by the powers that be, whoever that might be, that it would be useful to have a record. And so a record was made available to the beings who were working in creation. And more recently, since we're now in a place energetically where we're being given more information so that we can make wiser choices than in the past, the records have been made available to lots of people with the idea that if you know more, you could make a better choice in life.
And
that's why people get into that rabbit hole, and then they want to keep going because it's meant to, be mesmerizing in a way.
And what are the Akashic Records? The hour before our first break, but for the uninitiated, what are the Akashic Records?
It's a vast system of organized energy that holds the experiences, both emotional and physical and mental, of all experiences the alternate experiences, the road less traveled, not taken. And because of this, it can provide insights and wisdom to all who seek the opportunity to access that information. And it's organized in a way that you and I might call it a library, but it's alive. So, like if you go to a wave pool at an amusement park, you know how the whole water just moves. You're sitting there and 1 second later it's moving. And that's what the records are like. They're alive. And because they're alive, most people aren't actually in the records, but at the threshold of the records. And it is the guides that kind of convey the information, kind of like a reference librarian, because if you were actually in the records and you saw the person that murdered you in your last lifetime was your current partner, you might have a reaction that wouldn't be so good, that might change the energetic of the records. And the records are very highly evolved energetic imprints.
Is it, and just so I can wrap my mind around this, and certainly the audience too, with me, absolutely everything, all of my thoughts that I had personally today are now recorded. Not only the things that I do or say or speak, but dream or fantasize or any, absolutely everything is recorded and stored.
Yes. Think of like when you were a kid, how you could make a paper fan by folding a paper back and forth, making like a big zigzag.
Yes.
So the points of that are what most people are looking at. And if you want to go deeper, then the zigzag would expand and you could go deeper. So it's all there. You and I aren't necessarily going to go that deep unless we need to.
Right. But it's there. And
it's there.
And when I look at it in those terms, then let's take it one step out. Then we have the population of Earth, right? All 7 billion of us. So we have that complexity, and then we take a step off planet. And everything that was in the universes is also in the Akashic Records. Am I stating that incorrectly, or is that right?
No, you have it right. And remember that it's a vibrational, energetic kind of storage. So just like if you're playing with fractals, you can look at a fractal, but then you can expand it and see more, and you can go expand it and see more.
Right.
That's why your label, the rabbit hole, was perfect, because that's exactly what happens.
It's like a file system on your computer. You open up the file, there's another one, you expand that, you expand that, you expand that, and you just keep on going. Oh,
that's right.
Oh, okay.
That's
I thought I lost you for a second. I thought I lost you. So,
okay.
Now, if the first thing that somebody's never heard of the Akashic Records, the first thing that they're going to say is, "How can this be? How does Maureen know that what she has been exposed to is even real? And what makes Maureen think?" And the rest, everybody else that studies the Akashic, that this is indeed something real?
Well, that's a really good question, and anybody who's thinking should be asking that question, because I don't want anybody to take my word for it. But what happens is when you learn how to open the records, or if you go to somebody who is trained to go into the Akashic Records, they're able to give you information that there's no way that person would know. And over, when I've been in the records, especially in the early years, and I would give a reading for someone, and part of me would be thinking, oh my God, you must be making this up, Maureen, because even I was doubting it. And the client would say, how could you know that?
Right.
And that's how you know for sure that it's real, because you have proof from the persons you are helping.
Okay, now let's try to, I'm just clarifying the definition of everything so everybody understands, including myself. Where are they?
Well, they are not part of the planet. Now, there are people that will say the Akashic Records are here, and that's simply not true, because we are not a vibrational match for this finely tuned energy that holds, as a matrix, holds everything. However, if you say that all of creation is here, then yeah, they're here. But that's kind of a loose term. Think of it more like Russian dolls. that, we're on the inner layer and it's on the outer layer. So the outer layer has access to the inner layers, and the inner layers could have access if they knew where to go or what to look for.
Twitter's lighting up right now. They're asking my questions for me ahead of time. This is the Akashic Records at its finest, right? And are we talking about, is it some kind of kinetic storage? Is it a hologram? Is it stored on crystals? Is it stored in the ether? What are we referring to? Or can you even define that?
If I were to use a term, I would say it would be in a vibration that is finer than what we know as ether, because we're dealing with, physical, mental, emotional, and etheric energies here on Earth. And this is a vibration that is a finer match than that. So we have to, kind of create an energetic match in order to connect with it. The records themselves are not readily accessible if you were to go in. It's possible to physically go in the records, but it's not likely that you would. And you'd probably be a pretty evolved being for that to happen.
And why, if you were to look at the Akashic Records today, why would you do it?
Well, I think the primary reason that people have Akashic Records readings is because there's some inkling in their mind about the way things are going, and they want to trust it, but they don't. And so what happens when they're in the records, it very often validates what they already knew, but they wouldn't trust themselves. So that's number one. Then the other thing that happens is it generally expands your awareness. I have a great story about a woman who was having readings like once a month, a regular client. And she was on her way out the door and asked one last question and said, what about this roommate that I'm bringing on board to this apartment that I'm going to be, renting, this new 2-bedroom apartment? And the record keeper said to her through me, well, it'll be fine till the luster wears off. And she said, luster? What luster? Does that mean the guy's not going to last? And the answer was yes. And then she said, well, when will he leave? And this was in June, and they said July. And she said, of what year? And they said, this year. So then she asked, well, maybe I shouldn't rent to him then. And the answer was very interesting, because the record keeper said, keep your date with this man because it will put you in alignment to the roommate of your dreams. So after this guy left, she met another lady that wasn't even looking for a roommate until 2 months later. And those two got along famously, became very close friends, and had an incredible cycle of wonderful time together.
So the roommate was actually there in June and left in July.
Yep.
Wow.
Got involved in a wacky situation, got involved in drugs, and just, the whole thing fell apart in a wacky, crazy way that you would never have predicted, because this guy had good references and he was well liked, and there were lots of reasons to go with this person. And the nice thing about having that kind of information is twofold. Number one, go ahead and keep your date with the guy. But secondly, when things fall apart, you don't have to get too crazed because you know you're going to get the roommate of your dreams. That's pretty cool.
What can you? Okay, now totally. That almost sounds like some kind of precog situation where the future is revealed in the Akashic Records. And if that is the case, how can you change? She couldn't have changed it, right?
Well, that's a very good question. The future is more than one version of the reality, and people don't realize this. But for example, let's say if you were married and then you decided to get a divorce and you pursued that, maybe you had regret. Maybe you had kids that you felt bad that they're, both parents are in the house. So you have energy on the other answer, the other way of expressing. And both of those are being played out in the records. You're only choosing the one you're observing, the one you're choosing. But there is another version that's being rolled out. And, you could tune to that and see how miserable you were that you stayed together. And that would be useful.
Is there, I'm not being facetious, is there an Akashic Records eraser or a delete key or Or if there is two versions, in front of you, can you create a third that isn't in the Akashic Records and then start another timeline, if you will?
These are very interesting ideas. First of all, in the records, there is no judgment. You are so loved and so cherished that when you're exploring information in the records, you don't feel judged. So you don't feel the need for a delete. It's all about adding to the database rather than judging, oh man, I screwed up over here. And as far as a third, like a third line of activity or a third choice, let's say the same person the imaginary person we're talking about goes and has an affair or something like that, all of those possibilities are already there. Wow. And all you're doing is exploring them in the records. And David Deutsch, a well-known physicist in the UK, talks about the multiple versions of the reality. And physicists know that the reality that we experience is because we observe it. So the records hold all of the possibilities. And that's why I will say to people, the possibilities of free will are not unlimited, but the possibilities are so vast that it may as well be unlimited. It's like when you go into a big department store and they've got everything you want, you don't think, oh, I better go, to this other store after I get done here. You're thinking, I'm going to get everything I need and I'm going to be done. And that's kind of what the records are like. Carries the vibrational experiences of everything you've thought about doing, everything you are doing, and, some permutations of that.
Fascinating. And what's interesting here is you had mentioned a little bit ago about a record keeper. Is that a librarian? Is that how things are accessed?
Yes, it is. And, you might compare a record keeper to the reference librarian because they're going to go look up the book for you. Now, what happens is, when you line up to have a reading, whether you decide to have a reading with somebody or whatever, whenever you make that decision, there's already a reference librarian that's like on it. Okay, we got word that he's thinking about it, so we're working on it, and so the energy starts to compile the data set that you will receive. And the people that I train, what I do is I teach them to release the data set first. So before anybody asks a question, the record keeper has downloaded that data set, and the person who's doing the reading will give you what we call opening remarks, because we want the person to feel comfortable that they're with the real deal and that the information that they're seeking is already laid out. And many times, more times than not, clients will tell me or my guides, you answered all my questions before I ever even asked a question. I had a list on my piece of paper and it was, 20 questions and you got to all of them. I don't know what else to ask. There's a conversation that follows, but that's very validating because I couldn't possibly know what a person wants to know if I never heard of them or never knew them. And yet in the moment, the information flows in, and it's because it's been compiling and collecting for that person. And all I did was, the cook already has it ready. Here you go. It's like that. We're the conduit, but that information is there waiting for that person.
Is the record keeper, is it the same? Is it like a personal attaché concierge type of thing where you're seeing?
Well, that's really a good question because some of us have guides that work with us on a regular basis. And, people like me who are in the records helping others, I have a set of guides that work with me, but they are always working with my clients' guides as well. So it's a partnership.
By name? I mean,
no.
Okay. Well, you know what I'm saying. I mean, do
yes,
you?
I do.
Oh,
yeah, they're anonymous in that regard because these beings are pretty vast. So they don't go by a name because they embody the records. Do you know the book Dune or the movie Dune? And they had these beings, these vast beings that transported you between star systems.
Mm-hmm. Folding space.
Exactly. They're like that. They're so vast that even though they're alive, there's a quality about them that's not really very, like you and I having this conversation kind of a thing. It's more vastness. And then they like focus through a point that's created in the moment.
Wow, that's interesting. Do they have an image, by the way? Is there anything in your mind's eye that you relate to? Is there something that you can see?
Personally, for me, no. In the moment when I'm giving a reading or I'm in the records for myself or a client, I will get visuals, very, very much so. But it's not necessarily the same image each time, like, oh, yeah. But there is something that does happen. There is a quality that occurs, and that's one of the tools that I teach people, that you're listening for a particular thing that you hear,
right,
or you're sensing it in your physical body, or you have a sensation that occurs, and those three possibilities are consistent. And that is what I will call the check-in, kind of like, a space station docking. Okay, we're locked in. Okay, we got the connection. And that's consistent for everybody. But it's for each person, it's one of those three, or both, two of those three, or all of those three things.
Can you control, that's interesting, can you control the check-in? Or, I should say, actually, do you get checked in when you don't expect it as well?
Well, some of us do, yes. My students usually pay pretty close attention to what I say because they know I'm pretty plugged in all the time.
Right.
And so your question is well placed, because there is a part of me that is constantly plugged in. And that's really funny, because I'll say things and people will just shake their head and say, how could she know that?
Right. Okay, now take me to the moment. We're going to be up against a break here in about 60 seconds. But take me to that moment. Do you have to be in meditation, or can you literally just sit down and go, okay, let's go, boom, and you can flip that switch and you check in?
The way I teach it, there are plenty of people who teach it that maybe would do that. But the way I teach it is I ask people to do a certain opening prayer. I ask people to do a certain connection with their divine self, so that they're, connected to their wisdom channel inside of themselves. And it is from that wisdom channel or fifth dimensional place that they launch into the Akashic Records. That can take maybe 2 minutes or a minute and a half. It's not a long time, but it is certainly not instantaneous, like I can walk into a room and flip a switch.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it is. And you get so much energy. You have such a delight in life, and you're so jazzed, and you're so full of appreciation for the individual, for life, for everything around you, that people, I had somebody in my house the other day, and I said to the lady whose in-laws it was, after I'd shown them my house, I said, what did they say after they met me? And she said, well, my brother-in-law wanted to know if you were on drugs, because nobody has that kind of energy. And we both laughed, because I am so joyful and so full of love for life. And it comes from when you're in the records, you're just so happy.
Let's take a break right there. Now that we have set the stage for what the Akashic Records are and how it's accessed and what Maureen does, when we come back after the break, we got to go back to 2003 to that first time that she accessed. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Bespoke Radio for the masses. We'll be back with Maureen St. Germain right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
People love to shop. What if you could shop and it was actually good for you? What if you could actually purchase items that bettered your life? What goes into your body is important to what quality of life you have. How about shopping for items that better your health? GetTheT.com is that shopping place. We're not only tea, even though that's our number one seller, we are about helping your health. There's Colostrum LD for those of you with autoimmune troubles. The product helps your stomach get on track. GI problems produce pain. Get relief with Colostrum LD. How about some fat burners? Or maybe some joint aid? Or a power cleanse? There's so much to tell you with very little time. So get help health-wise at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Or you can call our friendly operators at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Get help and relief by going shopping. Shop at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Serving people with great products for over 8 years. GetTheT.com.
This is TalkNetwork.com. Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you. And your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99. And you use the promo code Jimmy, and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, JimmyChurchRadio.com, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on KGRA, The Planet, and TalkNetwork.com. Our guest tonight is Maureen St. Germain. We're talking about the Akashic Records. And now that we've set the tone for what they are and where they are, I want to go back now to where we left off in 2003, where you first had your access. Now you know what you know, but take us back to 2003 and that event, and you went and talked to your host, and things started to happen. So take us back to that moment.
Well, when I had this conversation with the astrologer that was supposed to have a message for me, she was quite, concerned because she doesn't do messages, but the information was the same. We have a message for her. She's being given a permanent guide. She's being given access to a dimension that's been closed to humanity for eons. And they said a number of other things. And I asked, okay, so if this is true, and how, I don't see this woman very often. And yeah, she'd done an astrology chart for me 6 months earlier, but why her and why that way? And I was told, well, you are against people who are aggrandizing. And we have all known people who have puffed themselves up inappropriately. And they said, you would not have believed it if we had told you directly. You would have refused to take that public. So we made sure that somebody else knew so you could know that you didn't make it up.
Interesting. And what was the message?
That the same thing I keep saying, that you have been given access to a dimension that has been closed for eons. You've been given a permanent guide and other things that were of a personal nature.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry about that. I asked the question incorrectly. What happened next? Actually, what was?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened next is I had been interested in the Akashic Records, and I had been working with another group. And little by little, I could see that I was not a match for them. And so I asked what I should do, and I was told that I was to start a whole lineage and to follow the directions that they were giving me. And it turns out there were certain things that I was asked to do that no one else is doing. And it's very curious to me because all over the world I've encountered this. I had a client in Bulgaria who wanted to take an Akashic Records class from me, and she told the host, I've taken this kind of training before, and I started getting all kinds of weird stuff. Weird stuff happened, and weird stuff occurred with me, and I want to learn, but I'm not so sure I want to learn anymore in this category, and I want to know what you think about this woman and if you have any experience. And this gentleman who was hosting me in Sofia said, I know her. I know she's of the highest integrity. I know she's devoted to God. And I can assure you that you have a different experience. And she said later in the class that she understood from the way I was teaching it and the very specific things that I asked people to do, that was different. And so part of what happens is you can open yourself up in meditation to outside forces, to outside energies. And if you don't specify that you only want beings of 100% God light, for example, if you don't specify you're only interested in the lineage that's going to give you the purity of divine God-centered stuff, you could pick up something that has an ulterior agenda. Right. And they might make you feel good. They might give you a groovy feeling. They might give you good information. But then there's a little catch, kind of like a scam on the computer. You get pulled in and you think you're doing great, and then something wacko happens.
What is different? Did you jump into Edgar Casey at that point and find out his information on the Akashic?
No, I had been involved with the Edgar Casey material from the time I was in my 20s. So I had known about Edgar Casey, I had read his books, and I was familiar with that, what he had taught. But, when you're young and you're taking all this information, and a lot of times it just goes into your storage bank, and you don't even realize you have that as a tool until someone quotes it, and you go, oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember reading that.
Of course.
But, yeah.
And what's different with the way that you access the Akashic and the way that Edgar Casey did?
Well, Edgar Casey actually went into a trance, and he was asked sometimes where this information was coming from, and he was told it was coming directly from the Akashic Records. But even he didn't know what that meant, so he had to ask, well, what are the Akashic Records? Right. And that's how some people began to understand what that meant, what the records were.
He was in a trance, so, and I know that, he had a note taker there and people that were transcribing and taking care of things for him. But did he ever, and he had clients too, did he ever have anybody come to him and ask to expose or go into the Akashic Records for a client?
Well, I don't know the answer to that specifically, but what I do know is a couple of things. Number one, he was a devout Christian, and at that time in the world, you couldn't be a Christian and believe in reincarnation. And he did not believe in reincarnation. But because of the information that was coming through him, he changed his belief. And so, you have to look at the situation and say, for sure, he wasn't coming up with this from his consciousness. He was definitely pulling it from a vaster library of knowledge. And there was the ability in his world to have a person's name and to read what was going on for them remotely. And in most cases, there were specific questions that were posed that he answered specifically. And so there were questions that were raised about the Akashic Records in general, and, you know, what could be known about that system of knowledge. And that's when, you know, people began to realize, oh, anybody could access this if they could be the vibrational match for it.
You've mentioned the host or my host a few times in the show. What are you referring to?
Well, at the time I was traveling and doing workshops, I would have someone locally who would take care of me, and I'm simply referring to her or him as my host, the person who sponsored my workshops and put me up and set up the venue like that. It's not like a host, like a speaker or something like that.
It sounded more paranormal.
I'm sorry.
Oh, man. Okay, so do you know what I'm thinking right now? Right now. I'm speaking out. I mean, is it like that? Is it that crazy where here we are connected through the internet, and we've got a wave connecting our emotions between the two of us right now? I mean, do you know what I'm thinking right now?
I don't know that I know. But what could happen, for example, is I could answer the question that you have not yet asked that was on the tip of your tongue. I have looked at people and said, here, I know you want to talk to so-and-so, and have them come back to me later and say, why did you hand me the phone? And I said, well, because I knew you wanted to talk to them. And, you told me you did. And their response is, no, I never said it. And I would be so surprised, I would kind of lean back, and then they'd lean forward and say, I actually thought it, but I never said it out loud. So, there is that kind of thing. But I think it would take more than just one radio show for us to have that kind of connection for me to know. And also, when I open the records to an individual, I go through that same process that I teach everybody else, which takes me a minute and a half or so to focus in. And then I need to, be in that zone with you, and you have to be in that zone with me, and on purpose, with intention. I want to hear what has to be said, like that.
Yeah.
And we could do that, but I don't know whether we would do it right this second.
And it's scary to me in a weird way, where there's almost an invasion of privacy issue too as well. And do you encounter that? I mean, do you find out something about somebody that's so private that you don't even tell that person?
There are times that I get information that I do not want to tell the person because I know it will make them cry or upset them.
Right.
And in most cases, when that happens and I get information, I will say to them, I'm very uncomfortable with the information that's being given in response to your question. I'm trying to think about how I can word it, or I'm not sure what to do. And in most cases, the client is now ready to receive it, and they will say, no, it's okay. I'm expecting you to tell me something like that. Go ahead. If somebody's got a family member on life support and they want to know if they're going to make it, and some of that stuff is known and some of it isn't. And there are times when I ask and I get told this is not available for you to ask at this time. And basically that means that the other person that's involved has free will and has not exercised it yet.
What I understand the positive sides. What's the downside? What is the negative side of the Akashic Records and having access to this?
That's an interesting question, because when you're in the records, you have an appreciation for people's behaviors that you don't otherwise appreciate. When I ask about my husband and what he's doing that I don't like, and then I get told that, he made a commitment to do this, and this for me, and he thinks he's being helpful, I feel like a big heel. One time I had before I got married to the man I'm married to, I had a good friend, and I didn't particularly think he was particularly interesting, but he hung around, and whenever I would get home from a trip, the phone would ring, and he would always say, did you just get home? And sometimes I would want to smack him, because I would think, why is he bothering me? And why is he keeping track of me? And, why is this guy in my life? I'm not having sex with him. He's not my sweetheart. What's the deal?
Right.
And in the records, I was told he was a guardian. And well, what's a guardian? Well, they're meant to look after you. They're meant to make sure you're safe. They're always making sure you're okay. And I thought, oh my God, I can't believe how rude I was to this guy. I felt really bad, but it changed my behavior towards him, and I was a lot more accepting because I was kind of thwarting his job,
Is he still part of your life?
Actually, no, he has passed away.
Oh, okay. Sorry about
That's okay. He took a hit for me, and thank God.
Yeah, there you go. Well, see, there's when you feel like a heel because of the Akashic Records. It just happened to me. Right there. Now.
Right. Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, let's go in this direction for a second. There are different views of the Akashic. There are different ways to access. There a different opinion is the wrong word, but different ideas out there about the Akashic. So, if it is a universal and universals, beyond our universe, records, then that knowledge and that intelligence is way older than we are here. That's just the way that it is. The universe is old. It's older than Earth. And then that intelligence turned around and populated Earth with souls from the Akashic Records and other universes. Can you jump
Wait. That's not true. That's an opinion. I don't know where that came from, but I can tell you categorically that is not true. Souls came from God, and the records show the record of that. People aren't coming from the records to go be an embodiment. Their life streams are in the records as a record, but not as the real deal. So the records are simply the mirror of what has happened in the reality, not the other way around.
That's interesting because I have heard other people that channel and get into the Akashic with their guides, and that the records show that Earth was the perfect place to be. It was the perfect place to populate. It had the right temperature, the right water, the right everything. Everything was right here.
That's all true, but remember that the souls are coming from a source, and the records are like to the side of that. So they carry the vibration of everything that's going on, but they are not the source of it. It's like saying the radio or the internet is where Jimmy Church is. That's simply not true. It's simply the vehicle that carries that information. And if I want to go listen to a replay, I can. But that doesn't mean that's where you came from.
There are people out there that would argue that point. They think
there's a lot of people, too, that will say that the Akashic Records are anything that's psychic or anything that's paranormal. And that's simply not true. The Akashic Records is a living field that carries information about everything that's happened.
I guess what I was referring to, there are people that would argue that I'm not real, that I do just live in the radio. You have no idea.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had actually read a couple of weeks ago. This show isn't about me. It's about you, Maureen. But I to that point, a couple of weeks ago, I had read that I was an avatar, that I don't actually exist, and I was a creation, and everything. My name is not real, and everything is just completely. I read that, and I just thought, if they could only walk for a day in my shoes, just come over here and hang out. It's really funny how that I'm just an avatar. I'm a CIA operative, and I'm created in Langley, Virginia.
Oh, no. Well, hey, everybody has their gig,
I guess in a weird way, it's kind of flattering. I was like, wow. I guess you've made it when you're identified as a CIA, FBI disinfo agent from Project Mockingbird or something, So now, but what is interesting here is, what about the ability for somebody that has got a bad agenda to access the Akashic Records and use them for bad things instead of good?
Well, there is a misuse that can be done, but it's not happening very likely. There are other ways to get information about the reality that are the misuses, the remote viewing and some things like that. They're not actually pulling from the Akashic Records, because the Akashic Records, it's not a vibrational match. I mean, there has to be a layer of integrity and purity of intent. So even if you or I are double agents, if we go into the records, we know that we're a double agent, so we're doing this and we know what we're doing. So it's not so easy to misuse that level of knowledge. There are ways to acquire knowledge in the reality, but they're not necessarily using the Akashic Records, although somebody might say they are.
And well, then we can go one step further, and there are bad organizations on this planet that have bad intent too, that could use the Akashic Records for bad things, not only internationally, but maybe off-world, Washington D.C. How about corporations or big farm?
What I can tell you is that there is an oversight that monitors human behavior and interactions such as you are describing in such a way that even if you had an illicit agenda, you would be unable to succeed. Even if you thought you had succeeded, you would not have. And it's a very interesting thing, because recently I've been working in the records and I've been getting information from the Lords of Time. And I didn't even know there was such an entity. And when they started to explain what was going on, one of the things that I began to perceive is that each of us is tied into our source planet and our source family and our source lineages, whether it's, our heritage as well as our belief systems and so on. And so you can deviate from some of that, and you can deviate by using your will to make different choices. But right now, the deck is stacked towards choices that will move you closer to your divine self than further away. And I say that meaning just like a child who wears a uniform to school is better behaved than the children who don't wear uniforms. This is a proven fact, by the way. The deck right now is stacked in the favor of everyone moving towards more caring towards their neighbor. So where we're going is that what I care about, I want to make sure you get it too. I no longer have to have an edge over you. And I'll tell you an interesting story. It's kind of cute. I had a coworker who was a very well-off man, and he had a hot car that he was ready to sell. He was ready to buy a new hot car for himself. And his just from college graduated son wanted it. And he convinced his father to sell it to him for $10,000 less than what the dad thought he was going to get for it on the open market. Now, the dad's telling me the story, and he's, kind of rueful, and he's feeling bad that he let the car go for so little. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, but just think how proud you would have been of your son if he'd gotten that deal from a stranger. And the man burst out laughing, and he said, you're right. What was I thinking? And we're all going to shift in that way.
You mentioned the Lords of Time, and I just watched Twitter, flutter for a minute. Who are the Lords of Time?
They are vast beings who are part of the time-space continuum fabric, and they monitor activity in a way that is not understood by you and I. And I don't know a whole lot more than that.
Is it okay for you to talk about stuff like that? And when you do you ever get reprimanded?
Well, you really are getting me today. It's great.
It's my job, Maureen.
I was in a class today, as you know, and I was teaching something, and I said, okay, I'm going to ask blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't even get the full sentence out. And I started to laugh, and I said, I'm being told, don't even go there till tomorrow. So, yeah, I get reprimanded. I get stopped in my tracks. But usually, you know, and on occasion, I had a very curious experience years ago where I actually experienced 2 different time tracks. And I wrote about it in the book Beyond the Flower of Life, where somebody actually experienced 2 different time tracks that were laid down on top of each other, and I was shown how we were going to change the reality. And at the time, I didn't understand it as well as I do today. Very curious stuff.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? And explain time tracks.
Okay, you know that there's more than one version of the reality.
Sure.
And there are more than one outcome, you know, and all those different threads are being explored as long as we're interested in them. So in a particular class, a woman experienced something that was, when I used to teach people a certain meditation, they would sometimes then get interactions with black helicopters. And I started to talk about that a little bit in a class, and I could see this woman like get really freaked out. And I stopped and I looked her in the eye, and this is now, I'm now being guided on what I'm doing. And normally when I would teach, I would follow the guidance that was coming in, like a live feed, kind of like, you know, like they show on spy movies, you know, where you have something in your ear, you know, and you're being shown. So I would get that kind of information normally in a class. But this time I was being given it like a split second before I was to do it. So there was no question about what I was doing. And I was just going along with it because I had never had that experience before, but it seemed like it was okay. And in this instant, I realized that we were redoing the reality so that it would change her outcome when she went home that night. And, you know, it's kind of hard to explain right here in this, you know, limited time frame, but there was one version of the reality where she went home without making herself invisible, and then there was a new version that went right down on top of it where she did become not visible to those who would be, you know, tracking her or whatever, you know. Right. There was a time when there was a lot of fuss about that work.
I can't imagine if it was coming to you a split second before, how do you keep your concentration and not look like to whoever you're speaking to like you're out of your mind, right? Because you have to speak clearly, but the information's coming in and you have to not trip over, you know what I mean, and not stutter, and you still have to concentrate and be able to stay in the flow and keep the flow going. It must be difficult.
Well, at the time, the flow was so clear that it was effortless. And I'm sure you've had moments where you're in the flow and you don't even know how you're able to go there, and you just do. And it's only in hindsight when you look at it that you realize that you were in the flow. You weren't working it. It was working you.
And in that instant, and we're going to be up against, this is kind of a yes or no question, actually. We're going to be up against a break in 30 seconds. Have you ever been in the moment and the words came out and you went, I want those words back? No, because as soon as I start, my thoughts are so plugged in that if I'm going somewhere I'm not supposed to, I get stopped mid-sentence, and I'll just stop midstream, and I'll say, I'm not talking about that. Sorry. Fascinating. Our guest tonight is Maureen St. Germain. We're talking about the Akashic Records. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. More with Maureen right after this short break. Stay right.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRAradio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos?
Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Ray Sobbs here once again to tell you about the Space and Alien Snowfest Ufology Conference taking place in the ski resort city of Big Bear Lake in sunny Southern California. What a lineup. Richard Dolan, Chase Kletzky, Micah Hanks, George Norrie, Jason Martell, Jimmy Church, Linda Moulton Howe, keynote speaker Stanton Friedman, and more. Along with the speakers and lecturers, join the luncheon hosted by Jimmy Church. See a world-class UFO ET-themed ice sculpture contest with attendees voting the winner. Enjoy the quaint shops, restaurants, and pubs in Big Bear Lake Village, and enjoy some of the best sky watching you can imagine. After the hectic holidays, gift yourself with a retreat the first week of February and come relax with us in a premier ski resort town high in the mountains of the Southern Sierras with an average of over 300 sunny days a year. Take advantage and book your lodging early and get your tickets now. Visit our website and register at aliensnowfest.com. That's aliensnowfest.com.
This is TalkNetwork.com.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall. And it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on KGRA, The Planet, and TalkNetwork.com. Our guest tonight is Maureen St. Germain. Tomorrow night, right here, Vic Mignogna of Star Trek Continues. That's right. Captain Kirk is going to be here tomorrow night. Maureen, how would you like to talk to Captain Kirk? Pretty cool.
I'd love it. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I'm fired up. I'm almost nervous. You know, last night we had Jesus Christ on the show, and tonight is you, and tomorrow night Captain Kirk. It's like pinch me. You know, what a week. Now this is where we're going to have some fun. I know that you've and this is where I know we're going to run out of time, so I want to get all of this in. But you've written about the future. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about alternative futures. I want to hear everything that you know. But let's talk about the past. How old are we? What does the Akashic Records show? Are we 50 million years old? Are there past civilizations? What have you learned about the past?
I'm going to let you down. I don't know the answer because I don't care about the past. And I have never cared about people's past or, you know, like, were you somebody famous in the past life? I mean, it might come out, but I made a strong commitment that I was only interested in helping people with their evolution. So I'm always looking to the future.
But you never tried to find out about Atlantis or the pyramids or any other lost civilizations from the past, or if man walked with the dinosaurs, or if well, let me ask you this: if you wanted to, could you find out that information?
Yes, I could. And I can tell you, for example, when I've been in Egypt and I will look at a pyramid and I will tell the guide, well, this happened this way. And he just goes, oh, my God, he can hardly handle it because I'm telling him what I can see as I'm there. And it does happen that when I show up somewhere, I can feel the record of that situation, or I could walk into a place and know that there was a huge blow up, an argument of some sort. Certainly that's very knowable, and certainly I'm interested in Atlantis, but I know that I was part of Atlantis, and I know that I was working in Atlantis in an environment where one of my students didn't do what I said. And because of that, there was this cascade event that caused everything to shift. So, some of those things I think but you figure, well, that was then, this is now. So you leave it alone.
And what about your past life? Have you accessed that? If you may not do it for anybody else, but do you do it for yourself?
Generally not. I will tell you that one time when I was in Egypt, I was told to do a very specific ceremony, and I asked, what should I do in this environment? And I was told, and I said, oh no, somebody else should be doing that. Who am I? And then I was told again, specifically do this and this. And again, I just, but surely somebody else has done this before me. And the third time the guide said, so you refuse? And I said, no, I'm on it.
I've often wondered, when it comes to Egypt, this is my opinion, and I know I'm right, but listen. This is my opinion. I think that the pyramids have been there for a really long time.
And you are right in that regard. They have been.
Yeah. When Upper and Lower Egypt combined, the dynastic period started to kick off, and pharaohs started naming themselves pharaohs. The pyramids had been there. They stumbled upon the pyramids. They were already there.
That's right. That's absolutely true.
And can you expand on that? Do you know anything else?
Well, for example, the step pyramid that the Egyptologists will tell you was the practice pyramid. It's the other way around. The Great Pyramids were built, and the step pyramid was built by the grandchildren who were trying to copy what was left by the predecessors.
See, I'm right. My audience, did you just hear what Maureen just said? I have been saying that forever. I can't get anybody to agree with me on that.
Well, you got me.
You're coming back on this show very, very soon. But that's exactly it. That's why it's never been. They've tried to duplicate it, but there's a reason why there isn't a Great Pyramid Part 2.
Exactly.
It just couldn't be done.
Right.
Oh, Maureen, where have you been? Yeah, no, but that's exactly right. Okay, let's talk about if anybody wants to argue that point with you, just have them call me and I'll say Maureen's right. Okay, and we'll let that go.
I'll do that for you too. Okay.
Absolutely. Now, what have you seen about the future? I know that you've written about it a lot, and let's go to scenario number 1. And do you have a timeline for it?
Well. I kind of combine all the scenarios because I think it's easier to understand. But I see 3 Earths, and I see that there's 2 primary Earths. One is an Earth where people who have agreed to move off of their self-centeredness and more towards heart-centered behaviors. Those people are going to continue to evolve and grow. And then there's another group of people who are determined that, their way or the highway, and they're self-absorbed, and, there's agendas, there's certain businesses that are, moving in that direction. And those guys are going to get to play it out and watch their world, burn and, go away. We're on both of those right now. We're not necessarily aware of it, but we are. And so, there's a version of me maybe over there that's, struggling or whatever, who knows? But what I do know is that I'm focusing all my energy here, and that version of me is kind of surviving. And at some point, maybe I'll die off and that's the end of me, but I'll still be here on this version of the earth. And then there's a third earth that has only recently come into awareness, into consciousness, and that version of the earth is a brand new grand experiment. And that earth, there will be new rules with regard to many things. For example, you won't just be able to cut down a tree. You'll have to hold ceremony. You have to find a way, if there's another way to get what you need without cutting down a tree, for example. And so the whole way of operating will be different. So right now we're on that transition where we're moving into a place of higher consciousness, and everybody is. I don't think I'm the only one that experiences this, but in the old days you could call the bank or your credit card about some wackiness and they would be rude to you, but they're not rude to you today. You walk in the physical bank and they're nice to you. And that wasn't true 5-10 years ago. And you walk down the street and people greet you, and they didn't used to do that. Or if you're stuck and you're struggling, someone stops and says, "Do you need something? Are you okay?" There's a different energy, and it's because people are starting to care as much about the other person as they care about themselves. And that's how you've moved to it. It's like there's a phrase that was used to describe dolphins, and I'm not sure I can get it right this second, but it's caring for no reason.
I had read, I think I did this fact on the show the other day. Did you know that dolphins give themselves names? And
I did not.
Yes, and that dolphins will respond to their name even from dolphins that they don't know. Now, how crazy is that?
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. And there is tons and tons of research on dolphins. And I've gone swimming with the dolphins. I've done that every year since 2000. And it's an amazing experience. I have so many cool stories. I have one funny story where I was swimming with the dolphins and I had hired a boat and I had all my people on the boat and I had a few seats left over. So I gave them back to the guy who ran the boat and he filled it with some strangers. And so those extras were there on the boat. When the dolphins came, we got in the water. And I ended up over in this one section of water where nobody else was except one of the extras. And so she and I are swimming with this pod of dolphins. And they start to circle. And you can kind of tell they're getting ready to leave because they start to swim faster. They're going. And I remember thinking, oh, please, just one more round. And I was wearing a bandeau-type bathing suit, with no straps. And it was kind of filling up with water as I was trying to swim with them. And I thought, oh, what the heck? And I pushed my bathing suit down to the waist. And I said, just one more round, please, one more round. And we got back on the boat. And the extra waited till everyone was there and said in front of everybody, "Well, I noticed the dolphins came back when you showed them your breasts."
I believe it. I believe it right now. Can we access the Akashic on our own?
You could. And this is something that people want to do. And certainly you could. But you know what? You could learn to drive a car on your own too. But everybody takes driver's ed. Everybody buys insurance. So my advice is, take a class. Learn from a teacher who can guide you through it, and it'll be much easier and much faster. You might not have as many dents in your vehicle, if you know what I mean.
Well, what would the danger... Okay, I understand the metaphor, but what would the danger actually be of doing it on your own?
The biggest danger is you might invite beings into your consciousness that had a compromised agenda.
Such as, and that's interesting. We're going to go in that direction right now. What would a bad agenda be?
The beings that don't have a body are looking to have experiences through the humans that do have bodies. So they want to have emotional experiences. They want to have physical experiences. So you would be finding yourself leaning towards things that you didn't know you were interested in after these kinds of things. Think of the movie Ghost. Remember that guy in the subway who kept saying, "Oh, what I'd do for a cigarette if I could only have a cigarette." So if you allow energies in you that perhaps you used to be a smoker and you gave up and you're doing great, but now you have to have a cigarette all the time, like that. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is the Akashic Record library, if you will, for the lack of a better term, is it run by an alien intelligence?
Oh, that's funny. What's your definition of alien?
That's right, exactly.
So the answer is yes and no. It's not alien because if you go far enough back, we're all one. That's like a gross overstatement. But the energetic that is part of the Akashic Record field is a living field that is different enough from the way you and I are in our corporal bodies that we might say it's alien, but it's not alien in the sense that it's not aligned to us. If a person grows up in a family where they're loved and cherished, if you go back to those people and you say, I'm friends with your daughter, they would take you in, they would take care of you, they would look after you, they would be good to you. And it's like that. They are us, they embody enough of us that their MO is consciousness, alignment with you, but in a much greater capacity. So, for example, one of the things I do to help people kind of learn the difference between their own intuition and their own guidance and the records is I actually ask them to ask the same question in a place of meditation where they're asking their intuition, and then another place where they're asking in the records through the process I teach. And the storyline is about a woman whose adult children had all moved out except for the oldest. And the oldest was like 36, and she had a part-time job, she had a trust fund, she had a nice car, but she wouldn't move out. And the mom, who was a widow, was ready to have the house back on her, to have the house to herself. And her daughter didn't leave, and she would prod her daughter. They'd get into arguments, stuff would happen. And the mom was kind of, aggravated. Why doesn't she leave? She's an adult already. So she asked, and she was told by her wisdom, her intuition, she's uncomfortable with trying new things, and she doesn't think she can make it on her own, and she's not sure of herself. Well, in the records, when she opened up the records to this question, she was shown how afraid her daughter was. And she felt her daughter's emotional fear and how uncertain she was. And the record keeper said to her that she will always be with you and she will always be there for you. They didn't say always be with you, but she will always be there for you. And that you could try to understand her fear. And then she felt the daughter's fear. So she started to cry. And she tells me this story, and she can't even tell it without crying. She said, Maureen, I finally understood how afraid she was. I never got that before. That now, that mom can at least be compassionate towards her daughter instead of crabbing at her for still being around. That's powerful stuff.
It is. And could one of those alien intelligence, if you will, could they occupy the body of world leaders or bloodlines or monarchy around the world and manipulate what is actually going on in the world as for fun, for instance?
Well, I am of the notion that is already happening, but it's not because of the Akashic Records. It's happening because those beings can. It's kind of like this. Are you able to speed on the freeway? And the answer is yeah. Why do you do it? Because you can. If you get caught enough times, or if you know where there's speeding traps, you slow down. If you've gotten a bunch of speeding tickets and you're on the line for, maybe losing your driver's license, you might be more careful. There is a status quo, if you will, of energies, imposters, whatever you want to call it, that you're hearing about, not from me, but from other people, plenty of other people. Mm-hmm. And those beings are on the wane. They are on their way out. And the rule of law right now is they're not allowed to be here. But they're here, so they get away with it. But little by little, they're being, for lack of a better word, called out, cleared out, and they are losing their resources If they can't aggravate you, if they can't aggravate me, they don't have any fuel and they can't survive. So we are inching our way towards a place where everybody's on the same page in terms of caring about each other.
I know you must have had some type of contact from off-world, certainly through the ability to access not only the Akashic, but the ability to see things. And can you tell me about that?
What I can tell you is the proofs that I have aren't very impressive. I have a lot of experiences with cloud formations that I know there's ETs behind them, and I can point it out to people and they can see it. But, if you were to look at it or, put it up on your website, it might not be very impressive. I can tell you that I have not had an ET stand in my room and talk to me like some people have, although I do believe some people have. Mine is more of a telepathic kind of experience.
Yeah, I had something strange happen once. I won't go into the details. But, yeah, I know when somebody tells me, just like you're describing now, when somebody says that they've had something happen to them in the room late at night and something, well, you know what? Something strange happened to me, and I don't discount it. It's a frightening experience to go through. But have you had, because you have the ability to get to the library and have an interface and a librarian, if you will, a go-between, and you have that ability, have you communicated with ET? Have they communicated with you directly?
No, not in the sense that people are doing. I mean, I read up on that stuff because I think it's very interesting, and I think those things are valid. But, everyone has what I call a vibrational match. So what you are sending out is what you're going to match with.
Right.
And I'm on this page where I'm like leaning forward into this highly evolved place, into this very pristine environment. So the interactions that I have are very highly evolved. Like I've had experiences with ascended masters showing up, but they're not ETs. And that's happening when I'm in a place of complete stillness and I'm meditating, not when I'm laying in bed and being woken up by an external energy. So it's a different kind of experience. And one of the things that I really want to tell people more than any other thing is the fastest way that you can get into alignment with what you really want and how to get what you want in life. And not only that, but to connect with your divine self and get good information, whether you're learning it through me or somebody else, is to stop lying. And everybody lies. And people don't realize they lie until they say, okay, for the next week, I want to notice every time I tell a lie. That's all you have to say. And what will happen is you'll hear yourself say, well, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Something simple as, well, I got up at 9 and I didn't get into the studio till 11. Well, you didn't get up till 9:30 and you just fibbed. And nobody really cares. But your consciousness knows you're doing it. And your consciousness says, okay, that's where you're at. That's the level of vibration you're at. And it doesn't matter. There's no judgment. We don't care. The Akashic Record Keepers don't care. But you can't match. You can't be a puzzle piece match at the higher levels if you're not telling the truth to yourself, because nobody really cares. And that's the thing that people don't realize, that they're judging themselves way more than other people are judging them. People just don't care. I remember one time I said to someone, well, I was in such and such a class. And they said, oh, you were part of this group. And because it was a social event and there were a lot of people around and there was a lot of movement, I just nodded and said yes. But I had to go back to them. I was so uncomfortable. I had to go back to them and say, well, actually, I was in the class before that. I was so uncomfortable that they might have thought one thing instead of another. But, that's me being who I am. Isn't how everyone is.
That's interesting. Is that guilt?
Well, some people would call it guilt, but in truth, once you make up your mind that you don't want to cover up anything and you don't want to hide, then you're okay with who you are. You know, I said something very interesting. When I was still working in the corporate world, I made some comment about some women were, you know, being very catty about some actress and how she probably had an eye lift and a whatever. And I looked at the woman who was leading this conversation, and I looked at her and I said, well, you probably shave your upper lip. Don't you dye your hair?
Right.
And yeah.
Why is it, and do you want to take some phone calls? Can we take some phone calls?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to announce to everybody right after the break, so get ready. We're going to take some phone calls after the break. Why is it we've got about 3-4 minutes here. Why is it so hard to do the right thing? It's easy to do the wrong thing. It's so easy. It's easy to speed on the highway, right? Instead of driving 55 is hard. But why is it?
You know what? I actually tell people that, you know, once you get plugged into your divinity, and there is a whole technique that I teach people, then following the rules isn't really about what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to follow your divine guidance and do that instead. And that gets very interesting because then sometimes you get told to do stuff. For example, I was told one time to start paying people more, or I was told to pay the guy I was paying rent to, I'm supposed to pay you $50 more a month. That's wild. But at the end of the day, you know, if I want to speed and I get told it's okay, I do it, you know. And I had a very interesting experience. One time in the middle of the night, I was driving somewhere and a semi goes past me really fast and I get a very clear message, get into the slipstream. Well, I'm a smart enough person to know that that's not nice, but I did it because I was being told. And you sure? Yeah, now. So I get in the slipstream. Now we're coming up on an interchange, and I'm going to change to another freeway. So I'm checking in. What do I do? Right. Stay with him. So this guy goes on the interchange, same as me. I thought, well, good. At least I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm still on his tail. Now he goes over to the berm. We're still doing 60 miles an hour. When he goes over to the berm, I ask again, what am I to do? Stay with him. So now I'm on the berm. And wouldn't you know, another car came the other way, and I was out of harm's way. When we come off that interchange turn, I ask again, do I need to stay with this guy? No, you're good.
Interesting. What does that tell you? What if you would have gone against the grain? And gone against your intuition at that moment?
I'll be happy to tell that story because I have, but only once. And the joke is, you don't have to follow your higher self, but you'll be sorry.
You will be. You will be. I remember, before we get to the break, I remember I'm standing in line at a gas station outside, right, at the little booth, right? And there's a few people in front of me. And I'm in the back of the line. The guy steps up, and now it's just the two of us standing there. And I watch this guy drop, folded up, a wad of money. And it falls behind him right between my feet. Okay? And I look down, and it's like 520s. I can see that. You know, it hit the ground. You know, I hurt. You know, it was cash. A lot of it. And I looked down and I thought, right then, there it is, the fork in the road, right? It's right in front of me, right there.
Right.
And
what did you do?
What do you think I did? I kept it. No, I didn't. Come on. So, but I bent down and I picked it up and I just thought for a second, right? And just for a second, just that little thing. And I tapped him on the shoulder. I go, dude, here you go. What? Thank you. But you are every single day presented with the right and the wrong thing. You just don't do it. You don't do the wrong thing, and you don't do it ever. And everybody knows. If anybody wants to question me right now, well, how do you know? You know.
I love how you say that. You know.
You do. You know. Our guest tonight is Maureen St. Germain. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on KGRA The Planet and TalkNetwork.com. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Maureen, taking your calls right after this short break. Stay right there.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Why do people order Life Change Tea? Because Life Change Tea helps the digestive system. Life Change Tea helps the colon unclog. The tea also helps with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and many, many other health issues. Life Change Tea also tastes great. And Life Change Tea is not just green tea. Life Change Tea is a unique blend of 8 different herbs that go to town, cleaning your body of harmful toxins, bacteria, and parasites. Our tea is number 1. Are you ready for your life change? Let the tea help you. Log on to our online store of helpful products to get your body on track. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Not all tea is equal. Read our website of all the factual testimonies that prove that Life Change Tea is working. Health is important, and our quality of life is very important. Don't wait to order. Expect a life change with Life Change Tea at getthetea.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie MacDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
This is TalkNetwork.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on KGRA, The Planet, and TalkNetwork.com. Our guest tonight, Maureen St. Germain. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? Say hi to Maureen.
Hey there, Jimmy. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good.
Okay, this is Captain. How are you, Maureen?
I'm good. What did you say your name was?
My name is Captain.
Captain. Got it.
Okay, Maureen, I know that there are times when you do voice vibrations or voice frequencies, and I would like to know what soul group am I from just from hearing my voice.
Maureen, did you get that?
I did. You know, I'm not sure I understood the question. When you mean soul group, are you asking me what planet you're from, or what species of people, or what? At what planet?
Yes, what planet am I from, and what is my family?
Well, you were on Cryon when it blew, and before that, you are from a place that is beyond this known solar system that begins with an A. I don't know the name of it. And you are a highly enlightened being. And what are you doing with it?
Wow. You can tell all of that from somebody's voice. Wow, that's incredible.
And how does that sound for you? Does that resonate?
Alpha Centaurian, it sounds good. Because that's exactly, when you say A, I recognize where I was from.
Well, there you go, Captain. Pretty cool, huh?
Absolutely. Maureen, also, could you also tell me about President Obama? Who is he, and what is his mission?
Okay. Hey, Captain, while she's answering that, I'm going to get to some other calls, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Maureen. He wanted to know about Obama.
Yeah, Obama is a very interesting person, and I try to stay away.
Okay.
I can't really talk. They got me in line to get on the radio.
Okay, you need to turn us down in the background because I just brought you in live.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Okay,
Hi.
You're live. Go ahead, Maureen.
So it is my experience that Obama is part of a game changer, but his hands are tied pretty tightly. And he's part of a new shift of energy that was probably supposed to happen before the end of his term. So we'll see if we actually succeed in making some changes, because if we do, then his role will be much more obvious.
Wow. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen. Who's calling?
Hi, Maureen. This is Mary Ellen.
Hi, Mary Ellen.
Can you hear? Oh,
Yep.
good. I'm glad you heard me. Okay, thought I had a bad connection. Well, I'd like to know if you could tell me something about, I guess, my past lives or whatever the record keeper has.
Well, I don't know if we're doing that kind of show right now, Mary Ellen, but
Okay.
I'm going to... You've caught me by surprise. But Maureen...
What I can tell you, Mary Ellen, is that the current thing that you are doing for your work is okay. It's not beneath you, and you are well matched to it. And what you need to do is find time in your life to pursue your avocation so that as things shift for you, you'll be able to move into the thing you really love. But you're well matched for what you're doing now. And I think you know that. You're like doing work that really makes you feel good. And they like what you do. You're good at it.
Well, there you go, Mary Ellen.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And have a great night. Let's the phones are backed up here, so I'm going to try to get through these as fast as I can. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Hey, Maureen. This is Jake Dog from the Sandbox. And my question is that I want to know if you can tell if this is my first time here.
I don't understand the
first
question.
First time in embodiment, is that what you mean?
Well, in Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I feel lost here. I feel like everything to me that's new is old, and I don't understand it.
This is very curious. It's not your first time here, but it's your first time in, I'll say, this cycle of time, and you thought you could handle it, and it's been tough. But what you can do is, say a little prayer every day that, I'm seeking to know my true mission, and I'm willing to show up and do it. And watch what happens. Books will fall off of a shelf. You'll run into somebody you'll like what they're doing, and you want to study with them. So that's what you need to do. You need to be a little more proactive right now.
Wow.
Okay.
There
All
you
right,
go.
thank you.
There you go. Let's. I'm going to stay on this. We've got. Oh man, things are backed up here. Okay, hi. You're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Oh, we lost that one.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
What's your
I
name?
was just wondering if you could tell me anything about myself.
I need your name.
Brenda.
Okay, you're Brenda, and what's going on with you that you need to know about yourself that you don't know?
I'm just kind of confused right now. I'm wondering if I'm going through a cycle of awakening or what. I'm not sure.
Okay, so just a minute. It feels to me like you went through a breakup of some sort and you're feeling lost because you thought that was it and it wasn't. And, you thought as long as you had that, then you'd be okay with all the other stuff that's not right in your life. So that's why you're feeling confused, because you rejected one thing or it's rejected you. And now you're looking at everything saying, well, wait a minute. If that wasn't going to work, then maybe I shouldn't put up with all this other stuff. Does that match?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So here's what you do.
Okay.
You go to the library and you go to the magazine section and you start looking at magazines and you see what feels good. And you'll find where you belong.
Just pick up any magazine?
Well, let's put it this way. As you scan what's available in the magazine room in a decent library, you will be attracted to one over another. And then you'll just follow the rabbit hole.
Okay. I'll be directed, in other words, to the right magazine.
In the moment, yes.
There you go, Brenda.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for the phone call. I can't believe these phone lines. I didn't expect this, Maureen. Okay, I'm just letting you know right now. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Who, me?
Yes, you. You're live right now.
Hi, Jimmy. This is Maureen. This is Mary Ann. Oh my gosh, that was so quick. Anyway, I love your show, Jimmy. Maureen,
yes.
I'd love to know why I have spent, since my divorce, 18 years on my own. How do we attract the right person? I've had plenty of dates and interest and fun, however, not a keeper and not a good partner.
Well, the number one reason is that you're still working on you, or have been. But, you're also at the place right now where you're looking around saying, I'm ready already. I'm ready already. So here's what I would recommend. Yeah. Start a journal. Go get a nice journal from the bookstore that's got yummy, cover on it that you really like, and write love letters to the beloved. And in the love letters, you say how happy you are that you finally met this great person and that you're so happy that you guys have so much in common, and as if you already know this person and as if you were already together, but you're currently not in physical proximity. So it's that kind of stuff. And every time you're lonely, you write in the journal. And here's why. When you are lonely and you pay attention to how lonely you are, you're going to get more of lonely. So what you're going to do is flip that. And every time you notice you're alone or lonely, gee, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody to go to the movies with? Instead, take a moment and write in that journal a love letter saying, I'm so happy I'm with someone who loves to go to the museums like I do, or loves sci-fi movies like I do. And what that'll do is change your energy to coupledom, and that will help you attract the mate of your dreams. I also would recommend that you check out, I have a little program called Bring in the Beloved, and it's a great program. I have so many people tell me that it does work.
Wow.
And
check
can
it out.
You see somebody coming?
Well, the Akashic Records are not about a psychic reading. But what I can tell you is if you do the work, if you do the change in you and make room in your life, make a space in your closet, empty out a couple of drawers and save it for the special someone. You're creating a space. You're telling the universe you're ready. What does your house look like now? Would you let someone in? If I said, okay, the beloved's on his way to your house right now, could you put that person in your house? Would there be room for him?
It might be a little bit of a squeeze in my room, but
that's a really good time to make room for this special someone and expect him. That way, when you're expecting company, you make sure the guest bed is got clean sheets and it's ready, and the closet in that room is clean. Let's get on it, girlfriend.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you for the phone call.
Thank you, you guys. It's
that
great
was
talking
awesome.
to you both. Thank you.
You got it. Going in order here. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? Say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Hi, this is Tom Thomas. How you doing?
Hi, Tom Thomas. Say hi to Maureen.
Hi.
Hi, Maureen. I've really enjoyed your talk.
Thank you. So what's going on for you?
Well, feel like I've been on the right track, but the energies in the last 6 months have got me a little confused. Feel like I need to expand what I'm doing.
Okay.
Are you picking up anything on that, or?
Yeah, you're definitely. First of all, there is no right and wrong. You know, in the records, they don't really care if you're making mistakes because you're going to find a way to work it out. You know, you have more than one lifetime, and if you don't get it right, you'll just come back and fix it. So what you really want to realize is that you can make more choices that will lead you towards happiness than what you are currently making. And you're doing a bunch of stuff that you know you're not supposed to be doing. And so you need to look at that and change your choices and decide, you know what, I can choose differently. So from, you know, like for the next 10 days, ask yourself, what kind of choices can I make that would be my optimal, my highest and best choice? And you're going to find that, you know, those things that you've been doing are not going to serve you anymore. And you're going to see it where you didn't see it before.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom Thomas. Have a good night.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I think I just cut him off. Let's go to, you know what? I've got two from San Francisco coming in. I just picked one. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Hi, Maureen. It's Lisa from San Francisco.
Hi. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you. It's so nice to talk to you, too. Thank you for being on the show. You're keeping all of us enthralled who are listening.
So how can we help you?
Well, I was just, I didn't even really have a question. I just wanted to kind of ask, like, what, if you possibly know what direction I should, you know, go to learn more about myself and where I need to be and what I need to be doing.
You know, I think you need to, there's something about, there's something that you have been doing in other lifetimes that you might be ready to do now, and that's called automatic writing. And I keep seeing that you're a stenographer. So what I would say to you is do some prayer work. Like, you know, dear God, make sure that what I'm writing is of the highest energy and that it's of 100% God light, like that, you know, that kind of thing that sets the tone. And, you know, there's lots of places you can find prayers, including in some of my books, but not just my books. You know, Marianne Williamson has great books on prayer. Find something that is appealing to you and then write out a question and write out the answer, because I see you taking dictation. Are you familiar with Neil Donald Walsh?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay, and that's what happened to him. He just started writing and the information started to flow. And I have a feeling that that's what's going to happen for you. And some of it may be just for you, and we don't know where that'll take you. But let's see what happens first, and you're going to be real happy about that because it's going to feel good, and it's going to give you the direction you've been seeking.
Okay, I have done a little of that. I'll definitely spend some more time focusing on that.
That's
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Keep doing it then.
Lisa, are you a stenographer?
I'm a writer.
See? That's weird.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm freaked out right now. Lisa, you have a great night, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Maureen, you're tripping me out. Let's stay on these phone calls. All right. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? Say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Hi, Maureen. My name is Leonard. I was wondering if you could tell me anything about my health.
Luke wants to know about his health. You know what's funny? And while she's doing that, Luke, I just want to make this one comment. All I wanted was, you know, to take a bunch of calls and talk about the Akashic Records and maybe alien connections and just have I had no idea that this was going to happen on these phone calls, one after another. Maureen, I didn't know. This is catching me by surprise. So Luke wants to know about his health.
There is something going on with your internal organs, and you already know about that. And I would recommend that you look up the Edgar Cayce remedies. It feels like it might be your kidneys, but I'm not 100% sure. So Casey had a lot of really good remedies for a lot of things that are wrong with people, where they're ending up taking drugs that, create problems just as much as they fix problems. So, make sure you're following your doctor's advice first, and then, find room in your self-care to look into some of these other opportunities and see if that doesn't help. How does that sound to you?
That sounds pretty good. It in that area seems a little sore at times, so maybe that is the problem. Mm-hmm. I think I'll go and see my doctor about that. I've been taking some medications for high blood, so it might be affecting that as well.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
All right, then.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you for the phone call. Absolutely fascinating. Let's just, I'm taking these in order. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Hi, Marie. How are you?
Good. Who's this?
This is Brian. And great show, Jimmy. I enjoy it. I'm driving down the road, and I enjoy listening to you as we're driving down the road. I don't really have a specific question, Maureen. I just wonder if you could dig through those records and see if you can tell me something about myself and see what you can find. About, I guess, more specifically the direction of life.
Yeah. You carry a quality of what I will call self-depreciation that has gone too far, because now it's affecting who you are. So stop doing that and let yourself be appreciated. Yep. Oh, I don't know. Wow. I don't know much, right? Do you do that?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Hey, Brian. Yeah. Brian, don't.
My mind is just blown.
Yeah. Brian, don't wreck your car and be safe, okay?
Okay, I will. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you later.
You got it. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for the phone call. Let's keep this going. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Hi, Maureen. Hi, Jimmy. I'm sorry I didn't hear the whole show, but I'm wondering if, Maureen, if you get any feeling for all of humanity or any creatures, Akashic Records about what's supposed to be happening with the shift in 2016 and 2017, according to some of the other guests that Jimmy has on.
Oh, that's a great question,
actually.
Great
question.
Yes.
Truly is a great question. I have not heard the other teachers or speakers or channels that you speak of, so I can't address what they say in particular. But what I do know is that, number one, we will never have a nuclear explosion on planet Earth again, ever. There is a disabling of all military infrastructure that is going to be harmful or hurtful to people. If you, as an individual, you as a listener, can sense that there's something that's not right and you have a strong feeling about it, the way to deal with it is to say to yourself, no harm, no harm. And just, let's say you had a premonition about the Oklahoma bombing, for example, and it was so real, you just felt it was going to happen, even though you'd never had a premonition before. You see it, and then you intend no harm, no harm, no harm. And you are literally changing the reality with your intention, with your little prayer, intending no harm. I had a client who was in a car accident, and she saw the car coming at her, and she started hollering, no harm, be safe, be safe. And that woman got out of the car after it rolled twice and missed a semi. The semi guy stopped and couldn't believe he didn't hit her. She walks away from the accident. Doesn't even have a bruise on her.
That's me.
We do have the ability to interact with the reality and soften its effects or mitigate situations and release them. So, but you have to have a clear intention. You have to be willing to stand up. You have to be willing to do your part, like give that $100 back, you doing that stuff. You have the right to change the reality. You have the right to make things easier for people and humanity. So I do not see huge changes in the physical earth in the next 2 years. I do see shifts in money situations. I do see shifts in the way people trade goods. And what I believe will happen is that there'll be mitigating effects. So, maybe we'll have a low stock market thing, but then there'll be a shift in the money. So people will be eased into it. So you won't totally freak. You'll say, this didn't work out, but I got this over here. So there's this gentleness about the shifts we're going to go through. And the reason I know this, in addition to the work I do in the records, is the healing work that I do with people. Essentially, we are healing the planet of the trauma and drama. And so every chance we get that we can heal the planet and shift without huge craziness, we will.
Thank you for the phone call.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to take one more before the break. And Dino, say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Oh, geez. Hi, Maureen. I look for love in all the wrong places. So what I wanted to ask you is many of us who listen to this program know that there are other races and others that are here. And I guess, what do the Akashic Records show about the various races? I've heard about at least 11 or 12 that come regularly. Which were here first? Which mean us harm, and which can we trust?
Okay, Dina, we're going to be up against a break. So, Maureen, you've got 3 minutes to try to tackle that one.
Okay. First of all, it's not just the races that you would judge. So, for example, there are white people that are thieves and are not good people. And there are other races that are not good people. But not everyone of every race is on the dark side. That's number one. Number two, no being that is of the dark can get away with anything if you call them out. So if you have something wacky happen that you think is coming from an ET or some off-planet being, then they've got an agenda that's not in alignment with yours. You just call it out and say, look, you have no power. You don't scare me. Get out of here. And what's so interesting to me is that a bully only understands another bully. And those beings have already been told they're illegal. So the minute you call them out, they're out. They're not allowed to stay. It's like when you're speeding, when the cop car pulls you over, you know you're going to get a ticket. It's like that. So they don't want you to call them out because they might lose their privileges here, if you know what I mean. So
well, you're in there with the alien hunter that we've had on the show. That's exactly what he says, that you got to fight back.
Yeah, well, again, a bully only understands another bully. So your behavior is simply to raise the bar and call them out. It's like this. When you tell a dog to sit, you say, dog, sit. You call it by name. If the dog doesn't sit, what do? You escalate. You don't say, please sit. I told you, I asked you to sit. Why aren't you sitting? No, you tell a dog, sit. I said sit. Your voice.
Okay, and the second half of my question was, which of the races were here first, or which can we trust that are really here for our good?
Well, I answered that by saying that there's a mixed bag. There's good guys and bad guys in every one of them.
Dino,
in every race.
Yeah, Dino, thank you for the phone call. We're up against a break, man. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Bye.
I never do this, and I always say when somebody has the ability to do what you do, I don't want to know about me. I don't. I really don't. It's frightening, but and I don't. So don't tell me anything. I don't want to know. But before the show tonight, did you go and check me out?
Actually, I listened to you last night with Jesus Christ, and that was enough.
That was a good show last night.
It was. It really was. But I was like, oh, my God.
Literally.
Well, all I can say is it was a very interesting show, and it was very profound. And what I heard, and I think I heard most of it, I wouldn't have found fault with. So, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. Do you want to hang on after the break and take some more calls?
Sure.
All right, let's do that. Let's keep the phone lines open. 323-825-5045. My guest tonight, Maureen St. Germain. This is Fade to Black, Bespoke Radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. All right, let's do this. 323-825-5045. More with Maureen right after this short break. You stay right there.
And you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hi, folks. Ray Sobbs here with KGRA to tell you about something very special taking place in February 2016. I'm talking about the Space and Alien Snowfest Ufology Conference taking place at the beautiful ski and snowboard resort city of Big Bear Lake in sunny Southern California. We've got Richard Dolan, Chase Kletzky, Micah Hanks, Jason Martell, Jimmy Church, Linda Moulton Howe, Mike Barra, and keynote speaker Stanton Friedman will be presented a Lifetime Achievement Award. George Norrie and his producer Tom Danheiser from Coast to Coast AM Live will be with us all weekend. After the hectic holidays, gift yourself a retreat on top of the world the first weekend in February 2016 with a one-of-a-kind ufology event featuring some of the top minds in the field. Take advantage and book your lodging early and get your tickets now and register at aliensnowfest.com. I'll be there. Don't miss out.
This is TalkNetwork.com.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99. And you use the promo code Jimmy, and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, JimmyChurchRadio.com, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Maureen St. Germain. This is Bespoke Radio for the masses. On KGRA, The Planet, and TalkNetwork.com. What a great conversation tonight. We've been discussing the Akashic Records, and we're taking phone calls, and they're backed up. Let's just go. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? Say hi to Maureen.
Hi, my name is John. Nice to be listening to your show for the first time. And Maureen, I studied with you in Ontario.
Cool.
Yes, my question is, can one be accessing Akashic Records and not be conscious of it?
Oh.
I think so, yeah. The thing is, it does happen. Just like you could, have you ever noticed how farm kids just somehow know how to drive a car? Nobody ever taught them. So, yeah, there are people whose energies are tuned to God. They're focused on their heart, and they might be accessing the records. The benefit, though, of following a protocol is that it gives you access in a way that allows you to be certain of the information that's coming through. And also, you're like opening to the records and then you're closing to the records, because you don't want to walk around with the records open all the time. That would be really not healthy, for one thing. You wouldn't be making your own free will decisions. You'd be, in a very strange place, kind of like a loopy place, and ultimately you would get cut off anyway.
I can see that. Yes. Well, that's quite helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thank you for the phone call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain. Who's calling?
Hello?
Yeah,
Hi.
You're live right now. Who's calling?
My name is Natalia.
How can we help you?
Well, I do have a question in regards to that Akashic Records. Probably technical question. I'm thinking if universe is unlimited, possibilities of different realities, and Akashic Records, and you access it, right? It's even if it's a living field, what do you see? Do you see what scenario do you see?
Well, in the beginning we did talk a little bit about that, and one of the things that I do know is that the possibilities are not unlimited, but they're so vast that we can't tell that they're not unlimited. So it's kind of like, this big department store that's got so many choices, you feel like you have unlimited choices. And one of the things that happens is as you explore your own experiences and your own choices, it's like an accordion kind of a thing. It can expand and go deeper and deeper. So it's not completely unlimited. It is vast. And it's available for anyone who wants to learn how to do that.
Unbelievable. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain. Who's calling?
Hi, Maureen. This is Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Ryan, really quick, what have you got for Maureen? Oh, Ryan, your phone line is breaking up. Go ahead and call back. Let's go to, hey, Bill. Say hi to Maureen.
Hello.
Bill, you're
Hi, Bill.
live.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Great
What's your
show
question?
tonight, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm having a little bit of a health problem. I've been managing to control high blood pressure using some supplements, but I'm wondering if I have another problem. You got any idea?
Yeah, it feels like it's in your urinary tract. It may even be gallstones, so you definitely need to be seeing a doctor. Shouldn't just handle that one on your own.
Well, I had septicemia here several years ago, and that could have had something to do with it. So.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Okay. How do you do that, Maureen? How is this possible? Thank you for the phone call, Bill. How is it possible? It sounds... I'm confused. Let's just go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain. Who's calling?
Hi, Maureen. This is Dan.
Hi.
Hi, Dan.
What's your question?
Well, I wanted to ask, what direction should I be going in my life? And also, if you can maybe tell me what happened in my past lives. I just feel like they're connected somehow.
Okay, we'll try to get it all in. We're at the end of the show, though, Dan. Can you be a little more direct to Maureen so I can, I want her to answer your question for you.
Well, the one thing I can tell Dan right away is it feels to me like there was a relationship that you have left or walked away from, or maybe you've been rejected, I'm not sure. But this is a relationship that was from a past life, and your heart is still in it, but you don't know how to fix it. And you might find someone to do some past life work with you so that you can heal that. And after you heal that part of you, it may be possible for your relationship circumstances to change, or perhaps you'll meet someone new that won't carry the baggage that you had in your prior relationship.
How's that, Dan? Does that help you out?
Yeah.
Thank you for the phone call. Let's. You got time for a couple more, Maureen?
Yeah, we should take a couple more, but then I should probably sign off. Yeah.
I know, and we're at the end of the show anyway. But I've got calls lined up, and I feel guilty. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Hello, Maureen.
Hi.
It's Brenda from Red Deer, Alberta.
Hi, Brenda.
Jimmy had a guest on not so long ago, John Edmonds, who had MS at one time, as I do. And his story touched my heart because he went through everything that I went through. And so, is there a reason why MS has entered my life? Because I heard that it's something that I needed to go through. Because I'm ready to pack it in with that condition, I call it.
There you go.
Well, there are beings who have agreed to take the disease so that you would heal it and put that into the records. So my guidance in this moment is that if you will do some kind of spiritual work, and you probably know what that is, you will tap into a version of you that didn't get it or that has transmuted it. So keep imagining that there's already a version of you that has completely transmuted this disease, and bring that energetic into you and merge that with you. So it's kind of like a reverse soul retrieval. You're going to do soul retrieval with a future version of you that's already beat this affliction, and see what happens. I have a feeling that you could transform yourself and the reality at the same time.
There you go, Brenda.
Excellent. Well, also, I have actually telephoned John Edmonds, and he has put me into communication with Michael. Is that his name, Michael? Or Christopher, I guess his name is. And he would like me to make an appointment with him, and he's that healer that John went through.
Well, maybe then that's why I'm being told that you need to go to someone and work with them.
There you go. Brenda, thank you for the phone call. And,
Thank you so much.
Take care of yourself now. Okay, one last call. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Maureen St. Germain.
Hi, Maureen. It's Ryan again.
Oh, hey, Ryan. Okay, now we got you. You're not breaking up. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, good. I was just wondering if the Akashic Records had any advice for me in my life.
Are you ex-military?
No, I'm not.
Is there military in your background? It feels like it's part of your family or your heritage or something. And you've never worked in police work or security or anything like that?
I haven't, but the closest thing I can think of would be marching band and drumline.
That doesn't count. That was a nice shot. Thank you. Okay, so what I can tell you is that then perhaps what I am seeing is that because of past lives in the military, you never wanted to have a relationship with the military, because sometimes the hit I get is like the antithesis of what you're doing in this lifetime. So I would say find a field that works for you, that feels really secure, something that's not going to feel, like last minute and drama and stuff like that. What do you do now?
I work in the kitchen, and everything is last minute and drama.
So you need a different job. You definitely need a different
Possibly.
job.
That is funny.
Find something that you know you can count on, like, a delivery service, something that it's pretty regular, that allows you some freedom, but lets you be creative at the same time, and you'll be fine.
There you go, Ryan.
Okay,
hey, Ryan, thank you so much for the phone call. Now, Maureen, before I let you go, you're going to be hanging out with me at the Conscious Life Expo, which is coming up here in 4 short weeks. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And of course, your website is MaureenStGermain.com, and those links for everything else in the Akashic websites are all up at JimmyChurchRadio.com. But how can somebody get a hold of you directly? And are you speaking out there before Conscious Life?
No, I'm not. So my next appearance is Conscious Life, and I'm doing 3 events there. Yeah.
Okay.
Plus I have a booth, so you can, connect with me at my booth.
Yeah, man, that is that room downstairs like the most exciting place to be? Isn't it though? I mean, it's crazy with Conscious Life. It's the people that are there. First off, it's the attendees and it's the speakers, but the vibe is just incredible, isn't it?
It is, and people are so amazing and so, full of it. And, they're like on a mission. And that's pretty cool because people are pretty like focused, but available. It's very interesting energy.
And what are you going to be speaking about at Conscious Life?
I'm going to be on the Ascension panel. So I'm going to be talking about Ascension with a number of other spiritual teachers. Then I'm also teaching a class on higher self-connection. So if you want to get some of that energy, you can. That's a free class. And then I'm also teaching a class on waking up in 5D. And that's about all the new stuff that's coming our way.
Yeah, I can't wait to hang out with you there. And thank you for the show tonight. Absolutely incredible. And I look forward to you coming back on Fade to Black. Thank you,
It's
Maureen.
been a true trip, and I'm so grateful you had me. Thank you so much.
True trip is the right way to put it. Thank you, Maureen. You have a great, safe night. Maureen St. Germain. Wow. You know what's great about this show is at the end of every guest, I get to go, wow. Wow. And that's exactly what that was tonight. The Akashic Records is a fascinating subject for me. And when I do a visualization, and I was watching Twitter tonight too as well, what everybody wanted to, what does it look like? What is it? Because you have to visualize what it is because it's everything. Right? It's everything. It's all that ever was. All that it's everything. Your thoughts, your conscious. Not only you, but everybody here and everybody else that is out there. Everything that ever was, and that's the visual. I mean, is it long? If speaking of a hologram, if it was a physical image, is it just long racks of file cabinets and is it that? I mean, is it like that if you were able to go and walk through it? And it would just be forever. It's a fascinating subject to me. It is, and I talk about this. Who was fascinating about this, even though it wasn't Akashic, was George Van Tassel. George Van Tassel spoke about, if you guys remember this, and I want you to think about this for a second. George Van Tassel had said that he had built a time machine in downtown Santa Monica, California, in a commercial building. And it wasn't the time machine part about it that was fascinating, and that was. But what he spoke about was the ability that everything that ever happens, everything out there is recorded out there. It's just recorded. And then you can go back and access it. Right? And what he had said once, and it stuck with me forever. You can find this online. It's a television interview that he had done in the early 60s. And he says that they were able to go back and capture stuff that was broadcast 6 years before. That he was able to go back and see and access that. That it's all recorded, it's all out there. You just have to go and get to it. And that reminds me of what the Akashic Records is. Because everything happens and it's all there. So where is it? Also, and if you think about it, the chronovisor and what that is about. Because everything is recorded, so you're able to see it and go to it. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? I find the Akashic Records absolutely mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. And I've been doing some research over about the last month or so into the Akashic, trying to learn as much as I can. And, in the future, I look to bring on a couple of other people about the Akashic Records and their take on it too as well. But I find Maureen fresh, and her outlook on life and how she deals with this. I just find it very fresh, very cool. Great show tonight. I got to go back and comment on a couple of things, and see. Let me do this. And although, again, you know, this show isn't about fear, but I'm telling you right now, there's a prediction that I am making about the future. I'm making it right here, right now, and that is the Zika virus, Zika. If you haven't heard about it, be ready. This will be the next fear porn coming from mass media very, very soon. Why? Well, a traveler who recently returned to Houston from El Salvador now has a confirmed case of Zika, and it's a virus borne by mosquitoes. And health officials started to announce this today. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control said now that they have 22 cases confirmed of the disease among returning U.S. travelers since it was first reported back in 2007. And they are still receiving specimens for testing from travelers who recently became ill. Now, why is this important? There is no indication that mosquitoes in the continental United States right now are spreading Zika. But in December, in Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory, by the way, confirmed the first locally acquired case of Zika virus in a person who had not traveled outside of Puerto Rico. Okay, now that's interesting. And then we have what's happening down in Brazil, because the Zika virus down there has gained a lot of attention recently because Brazil is investigating a possible link between the infection and cases of infants that were born with a disease that causes it's called microcephaly, that smaller heads and incomplete brain development in newborn infants in Brazil, and that they think that this is linked. Now, if they do tie a link in together and we start confirming mosquitoes and this virus actually making its way north and getting into North America, I'm telling you right now, the Zika virus is going to be the next fear porn of 2016. Watch it happen, and you heard it here first. Now, time is running out to find the lost comet lander Philae. Ground controllers now are going to attempt another communications pass this upcoming Sunday in hopes of getting the probe to shift into a better position on Comet 67P. Now, this is the deal. The lander dispatched by Europe's Rosetta spacecraft, it touched down on November 12, 2014. We did it here. We watched it live, all of that. But it bounced several times on 67P and ended up wedged on a cliff wall. And as we know, it was blocked, the solar panels, the sun, and communication was then blocked. The lander itself had completed a short pre-programmed science run that was done without communication directly to the lander. But they haven't been able to do anything since. They really can't even actually locate it on 67P. So we're going to take one more crack at it on Sunday, and maybe they'll be able to get this thing upright and we'll get something happening. When I say upright, I'm talking about communication. Get the brain focused. All right, that's it. This is Fade to Black. Now, tomorrow night's a big night. And what I want everybody to do is after the show tonight, and everybody in Twitter, if you could, and I'll see what I can do about getting this out on Twitter, is go to StarTrekContinues.com. That's Star Trek, CONTINUES.com. StarTrekContinues.com. There, there's a bunch of webisodes. I believe there's 5 or is there 6 posted Go and watch them. Now they're 1 hour each. Go and watch what you can. At least get one episode in. And then go and look at some of the outtakes. Look at the videos that are labeled mirrors. Okay, go and check those out. And check out the cast and check out the crew. Also, there's one that I think it's called a surprise video. Watch that too as well. Because tomorrow night, Vic Mignogna is going to be here. And now he plays Captain Kirk. The attention to detail when and there is a video there that is called Set Walkthrough. Go. If you remember in Galaxy Quest, there was some Star Trek fans here in the Valley, and they were doing Star Trek reenactments in their garage or something like that, and they made comments to it, and that's what's kind of funny to me. Go to Star Trek Continues and start to go through these, because tomorrow night when Vic comes on the show, you need to have a solid visualization of what Vic and I are going to be talking about tomorrow night. Because when you go through the set walkthrough and you watch these episodes and you look at the attention to detail, if you are a fan of the original Star Trek from the 1960s and you start watching these continuation episodes, you will find yourself sucked in, because it is that. It is the first season of Star Trek, but continued. You can't find, and this is what I want you to do, you can't find fault. You can't find it. You can't find it in the script writing. You can't find it in the stories. You can't find it in the casting. And if you do what I do and you go and check out something like that, you're going to look at the set, you're going to look at the costumes, you're going to look at the control panels, you're going to look at everything, and you're going to try to find a mistake. You're going to try to find some fault. You're going to be in the transporter room and you're going to go, that doesn't look like the transporter room. That's what you're going to do. And I want you to do that because you can't find it. The attention to detail, the love, and what is put into these series is second to none. It looks like they were able to not only get the set, but get the costumes, get the script writers, get the storytelling, and stole it all from 1969. And they did it, and they were successful. There was another webisode there about scoring episode 4. Go and check that out. It's amazing. I don't know how. I do not know how they were able to pull this off. You look at every nook and cranny, look in the background, look in the foreground, look at all of the costumes, look at it all, and you're not going to find any fault. Tomorrow night when I get Vic on the show, I need to know, how were they able to pull this off? Because they did. It is absolutely incredible. Lee Spiegel, when I turn him on to this, Lee calls me up. Dude, I can't even believe how great this is. I can't believe it. It is that great. Tomorrow night, Vic Mignogna is going to be right here. This is Fade to Black. Thank you to Maureen St. Germain. Absolutely fantastic show tonight. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music is Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA The Planet and TalkNetwork.com. Tomorrow night, right here, Vic Mignogna. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2015 by Fade to Black and Game Changer Network. Cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.